Hey everyone, just making this video to talk about something that I've been suffering from. I don't know if it's suffering, but something that I think a lot of people deal with that no one really talks about that much, and something that I want to talk about because uh, it just happens to me a lot, and I find myself in these like weird psychosis and like trapping myself in these bad thoughts that are just not healthy for anyone, especially like young people and such like that. But we're talking about comparison, and I heard a quote once where it was like comparison is the thief of joy, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about it actually, because when you have stuff in your life that you're like not proud of, um, or things like that, it and you compare yourself to other people that you see on like Instagram or people in your life, and they're doing things that are different than yours, different than what you're doing, it makes you feel like you're missing out kind of. It's kind of just like it's a feeling of like missing out. I feel like that's a lot of where it comes from. The definition of comparison is to be of sufficient quality to be likened favorably to someone or something of the same kind. And that's kind of what it's all about, really. It's just you see people doing like out exploring or adventuring, traveling, stuff like that, and then you're stuck at home going to work and things, and it makes you like doubt what you're doing and what you want to do, and it doesn't feel good at all because we don't want to doubt what the things we do in our life. We want to be sure of things, but you can't always be sure of the things you're doing. You kind of just take it one step at a time, and then you go from there. And I struggle with comparison a lot, especially now we're like being 19 years old and married. I young, I know. I have a lot of like decisions to make, and I have someone else that I'm looking out for, and someone else that I have to think about when I make decisions. So it's a lot of pressure than just making a decision by yourself or being younger and making decisions by yourself. So it's a lot more. There's a lot more to think about where you want to be in life and how you're gonna produce stuff for you and your partner. And comparison is deceiving because it really just comes out of nowhere. You'll you'll be fine, with everything. You'll be happy you had a good day. You could even have like a whole good day beforehand, and then you open Instagram for a couple seconds, see someone's story, and think, I'm not doing enough. I'm not whatever it is. I'm not strong enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not traveling enough. I don't have enough friends. Like just like everything that feel wrong, that could be wrong with your life, you feel like it is when you see someone else doing something else, even if it's something you don't even enjoy doing. Like you'll see people partying or something like that, and even if you don't really like even going to parties, you see them at a party and think maybe I should be doing that. Like maybe what they're doing is what I should be doing, or something on that lines. And it stirs up this deep discontentment within you, or at least this is for me, at least. I don't know about other people. I'm sure other people struggle with this too, or know what I'm talking about. But like the deep feeling that something's not right, that you get like in the middle of your chest. That's where it happens to me. But it's it's this deep uneasiness or uncomfortability with something, and you don't even know what it is really. It's like a hole in your chest, and like you can't think about anything, and you just wander around the rest of the day after that. You see this whatever it is that made you compare, but it's not fun at all. And comparison is definitely the thief of joy in that sense, is that it sucks away all the things that you've done and reduces them to nothing. Even if you've done great things, it doesn't matter because it just gets sucked into this pit inside of you that you don't know why, or what's causing it, and you don't know how to fix it either, which is the most aggravating part for me. And social media is probably like the worst thing for you in this sense, is that you can see what everyone's doing in everyone's life at all the time, anytime. And it's also even worse because people only post on Instagram, their best moments, when they're doing something cool. Like they don't post, when a family member dies or something like that, or anything bad. So it's like you only see the highlights of people's lives, and then you kind of forget that everyone has downtime. Not everyone is always out there doing the best stuff ever, having great experiences. Everyone's always at a detriment to each other and to themselves. So it kind of creates this unrealistic scenario in your head when you see these people that are doing something exciting or something new, and it makes you wonder, like, why am I not doing that all the time? Why am I not? Why does my life not look like their life in a way? And it just makes you feel like you're not doing enough or accomplishing enough or striving to be enough. And there's always like this feeling in your life where you have this feeling that you can do more or that you can achieve more and do more things, but not having like the willpower to achieve it or the motivation to actually do it or even the resources to do it. Some things you don't have the resources, money, time to accomplish that. And it's not fun to deal with that, especially on your own if you don't have anyone to tell you, that you're doing enough and that, it's not your fault. Not everything's your fault and things like that. And your brain, when you start comparing yourself to other people in their lives, your brain just instantly starts subtracting everything that you've done and everything the other person that you're comparing yourself to has done, and just immediately just puts you at the bottom of the achievement list. Like everything you've ever done is now worthless because you saw this post of them, I don't know, in the Florida Keys or something stupid. But it gets this it gives this deep root of uncertainty. Like you should be chasing their life and not living your own, which isn't the case at all, obviously. Because I mean, if we're always searching for everyone else's life or always trying to search for other people's lives, then we'll never even have time to build our own, to make our own life. If we're always searching for other people's, and not everyone was meant to live the same way. We all have different environments and experiences and people around us that shape who we are and what our life looks like. And that's kind of the beauty of it, in a way, is that all we all have different lives and have different outcomes of in our environment. And it's a lot about how you make the situation and not what your situation is. And maybe you could be doing more. Maybe you could be doing more, but there's always a time and place to where you'd be able to do those things and accomplish more things. So it's all about, you know, working with what you have to achieve those things and not worrying about where everyone else is, but worrying about how you can get there or what you could do. Because we all have things we could do today rather than yesterday or tomorrow that would help us maybe feel more accomplished or feel like we're doing more. Like learn a new skill or try something you haven't tried before. Like all these things could help us in our efforts to maybe feel this weird hole of comparison that we're feeling because of other people. But maybe that's not the solution to everything, and maybe we're supposed to, feel this uncertainty. That's just how it's supposed to be. Because when you feel this uncertainty, it kind of makes you want to change and want to move, and we're always supposed to be moving and changing. And I think that's a lot of where this comparison comes from. This feeling of comparison and why it makes us feel so weird is because it makes us feel like we're not changing or shifting at all. That we're like stagnant in who we are, and we don't want to feel that way at all. Because we always want to be moving and changing, and feel like we're growing. Like when you look at photos of yourself from the past, like you can see how much you've changed, like in your appearance and height and growth and things like that. But when you're living in that moment, you don't actually feel that. Like you don't feel yourself physically changing when you're growing up as a kid at all. You feel the same the whole time, even if you're completely different. So that's kind of how it is with comparison. It's like we want to feel like we're changing and growing and adapting, but we don't feel like we're doing that until we see us beforehand. You know what I mean? Like you won't feel you're changing at all until you actually see that you're changing from the past. So you basically have to be a time traveler to not feel comparison, basically. But um, these thoughts are always worse. The comparison is always worse. That feeling is always worse after like 10 p.m. Like when it's quiet and you're alone with your own thoughts and you have nothing to do but like think. And so you just have to deal with your emotions and your feelings and thoughts by yourself, and there's no distractions really to prevent you from from what you're thinking or what you're feeling at all. And I always have these moments of like clarity when it's late at night and I get these weird thoughts to unroot my whole life and just restart how I think about how I could do stuff differently and how I could approach situations that I've dealt with before differently. You know, it's like exactly when you have like an argument with someone or something, and then like a couple hours later you'll think of better things to say, or like I should have said this, I should have said that. That's kind of how it is for me. Like thinking about ways I could have done something differently, or if I would have done this instead of that, then I would maybe feel better about where I am right now. This video is pretty much the product of those late night thoughts. I was feeling not happy because I felt like I wasn't doing anything new, or I wasn't being as much as I could be doing, and I didn't like the way it made me feel, and I felt it a lot of times before, so I wanted to do something I haven't done before really, or try something new. So I'm making a video to start making videos, maybe to like talk about these things, and then maybe some other people relate, and some other people, want to share how things like this make them feel, and it could be a good outlet for people that feel this way too, and other people feel that way, and help them not feel as alone in how they're feeling. And that's always good, to not feel alone and to feel like someone else understands what you're struggling with, or understands what you're thinking and feeling. And that's how you could help yourself, is by seeing how other people are feeling through something, and use that to help you get through whatever you're going through, whatever you're feeling or thinking or anything like that. And part of the comparison also that I'll feel randomly when I see these posts or something of that nature is like feeling like less of a man, or like less of a person, because of what my peers around me like look like and what they're doing. Feeling like I should look how they look like. I should be, buffer than them. I should be taller or whatever. Just, the basic statues that people associate with being a man is, you're jacked and super tall, and not that I'm short or not fit or whatever, but just that I could, this feeling of like I could always be stronger, I could always be taller, I could always be faster or smarter or whatever it is. And then seeing people that maybe are stronger than me or taller than me or whatever trait you think of, and feeling like that somehow makes me less of a man because I don't look how they look, even though maybe they focused more on being buffer, and so of course they're gonna be stronger, and that doesn't diminish me as a man because I'm not as strong or as buff, because that doesn't really define out what a man is. I saw this video one time from Shia LaBeouf in like an interview where he said becoming a man is when you become responsible for other people, and I felt like that was the most accurate representation of what being a man is like. Because when you think about manhood or being a father or whatever have you, it's always like caring for the people in your life and the people that you care about, and being responsible for them and what happens in their life, and that's what makes you a man. So I guess I shouldn't feel like less of a man because I am responsible for other people, and a lot of people do look up to me. I assume they do, but like younger siblings and partner and other people, in your life, in my life anyway, like look up to me and as inspiration or as comfort. Like especially my little sister. Like I've never felt more like protective over anyone than my little sister, than I do for my little sister. There's nothing on earth, or there's no one, not my parents or my siblings or anyone, that I would let harm her in any way. Do you know what I mean? Like I guess in that way I feel like a man. Like when I think about stuff like that, I feel like a man, or more of a man, rather than how big I am, or whatever, things like that. Because in that way, I feel like I'm protective over them, and that's a big like indicator of being a man, is protecting and caring and things like that. So it's like if I can show that, or if I can know that I do feel that way about certain people, then I'll know that I am still I am a man. That's what makes me as a man, or helps me define myself as one, is because I know that I deeply care for certain people that I wouldn't want anyone to harm or anything like that. So I know in that way that's how I'm a man, and that's how I feel towards these people, and it helps me, grounds me in the fact that knowing that no matter how strong or buff or whatever, or how much money I make, I'll always have that sense of purpose in protecting the people that I care about, like my family and such like that. Even if I don't always show, we don't always show that how much we love our family, our siblings, because we fight with them or whatever. But deep down, in whatever way that we are able to show, we know that we would kind of do everything for them or anything for them. Shoot first, ask questions later, sort of law bending theology, not theology, but whatever it's called. You're feeling that way about them. Even if they're in like a fight with somebody, you'd fight the other person, and then even if your family member was the one that was actually at fault, you you punch first, you ask questions about it later, in that way. And but going back to the like growing up and changing in comparison, we we how we don't notice we're changing because our environment is changing at the same time. Um, so if we're changing with our environment and our environment is moving at the same pace as we are, we're not going to notice any changes are happening because we're moving in the same way. It's kind of like when you're driving on the road and you're locked in going your own speed, and you feel like you're going fine, you're going fast enough, but then you you snap out of it and you look around you and you see other people are passing you or going faster than you. It like kind of makes you panic or realize how like what your speed is. Like you realize what speed you're going, and then you either like slow down or speed up depending on how other people are are driving, the speed they're driving at. And that's I think that is a good analogy for how comparison is, because we all are going our own speeds, our own paces, getting to different destinations, but we feel fine when we're not noticing what other people are doing. But the second we notice other people are moving at different speeds than us, we like second guess what we're doing and feel like we should be moving faster or at a different speed because everyone else is doing that as well. And that's just like a big area of doubt, or like second guessing yourself because everyone else is moving differently. But we're all going to different places, and so it doesn't matter how fast we're going or how fast everyone else is around us is going, because we know in the end we're gonna get to where we're meant to go anyways, because we're going to a different spot than they are. So why would we care how fast they're going to get there when we know we're gonna get there however long it takes us to get there and whatever speed we're going at? Does that make sense? But that kind of ties back into comparison into where how we see everyone else's speed and environment. We start to notice our own environment, and then that makes us compare ourselves, and then we doubt what we're doing in our life because we're not doing the things they're doing, or we're not going how fast they're going. And it shows us the contrast of what we're doing and the contrast of and then the contrast of what they're doing, and it like counteracts each other to make it seem like we're doing nothing when in reality we are doing stuff because we're going on our own lane, our own path anyways. And comparison traps us in this endless cycle of noticing the differences in other people's lives and then equating it to ours and chasing those differences. They'll always be different because our environments are different, and where we come from and the people in our lives shapes us into how we are and what we do in our life. And so it's this never ending cycle of looking at other people's lives, looking at your own, realizing or thinking that you're not doing enough, and then, just having that deep feeling of uncertainty or confusion. And it's really not fun to go through. It's really brutal to go through because there's not a lot you can do, especially when you just start feeling that way. No, you can't, change your whole life in a day, but I think it's the continuous pursuit of changing of changing and making goals that you can achieve reasonably within a certain time frame, that helps us rationalize feeling like we're not doing enough. Because if we know we're constantly moving or constantly making efforts to something in some way, then we'll feel like even though they're going, we're also going, so it doesn't matter, if that makes any sense. So what I think I was gonna start what I'm gonna start doing is, trying to learn a new skill every once in a while, or try to do something I haven't done in a while, and then setting goals that I think I could achieve in order to feel, in order to sort of dilute this strong feeling of uncertainty, or that I'm not doing enough, because I know that no matter what I'm doing currently, I'm gonna try and do something new that I haven't done, or learn something new that I haven't done, that'll help me in the long run to achieve greater things that I think that I want to do. You know, and I think if we all just start doing things because we can, and realize that we have free will, we can do whatever we want, pretty much, within the law, of course. But doing anything that we want because we can, and we shouldn't care what other people are gonna do, or what other people are doing, or what they're gonna think of what we're doing, because we write our own stories, and we have our own free will to do whatever we want. So we can all make a YouTube video. Who cares? You can do whatever you want. You can make a YouTube video. You could go draw. You could go, you know, do whatever you want. Learn a new skill, learn a language, or draw, or whatever. And we get trapped in the doing the day to day, just going through the motion. You know, refusing to change, because change is scary. Obviously, people don't like to change. Changing sucks, and but I think change is a necessary part of going through life, is changing, and then looking back and seeing how much you've changed, and then you can notice how much progress you've made, because you could see where you were and where you are. And I'm changing and they're changing, and my peers are changing, but it doesn't matter, because I'm changing at my own pace and they're changing at their own pace, and we're going to different places, and we're going to get there at different times. So it doesn't matter when they get there or how long it takes them to get there. But, no matter what, we're going to get there in the end anyways. And at the end of the day, no one really knows what they're doing. Everyone, people pretend to know what's going on and what they're doing, or what's happening, but no one at the end of the day really knows. And we're all just taking one step and then seeing where that step leads, and then you take the next step and then you see where that one leads. And if you take a wrong step, you can take another one in a different direction, or whatever. And I watched this movie a while ago, but I watched it again recently. It's called Demolition, with Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's about grief and how we process it, and how each stage appears differently than others, and how each person deals with it in a different way. And it depicts how sometimes we just do things because it's easy, and not because we really need to do it, but we get trapped in these like daily cycles of just doing what we think we should do because it's easy, even if it doesn't really make sense to do it. It's easy, so we should do it. And but when we disrupt the cycle with comparison or something, it sort of shows us the reality of that. Maybe you shouldn't have done that, because maybe you shouldn't have just done that because it was easy, but maybe you needed to do something else, but it wasn't easy, so you looked at the easy option and did that instead, even if it wasn't logically the correct choice. So like we see what other people are doing, and it snaps us out of this cycle of doing what was easy, and then we realize, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I could have been doing something else that would have helped me be better or do more things. But that's all I really want to talk about today, was just comparison, and how it makes us feel, and maybe why it makes us feel that way, and how it is the thief of joy, because at the end of the day, it takes away from what we've done or what we may do, and equates it to someone else that doesn't equate. It's like apples to oranges. But that's all it was today. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.